It's starting to collapse.
Lord protect us.
Looks like blood. Now we know we're not alone. Sounds like somebody screaming. Ringing the bell. Some crazy. Here we go, Zaddy. Woo! Okay, no. That's police right there. Let's get the fuck out of here.
All right, and we're live.
All right. Well, come on in to your official Condition Orange podcast. This is Chuck. I'm Oscar, and we'd like to welcome you to our grand premiere of a little podcast that we'd figured we'd throw together and tell some backstory and just give a little more light on the different things that goes on behind the scenes with the channel and the masterpiece of a man who puts all of it together. I'm just here for support.
Stop.
So, yeah, I think that's a good segue into what? The masks?
Yeah. So you're probably looking at us and you're probably wondering why we're wearing masks. That was one of our first thoughts before we started the channel. And for us, it was we wanted to make sure that we're exploring these places. Maybe one day there's a place we explore and someone wants to press charges. So we decided, we're going to hide our identity. And one day when we feel more comfortable, we might decide to reveal it. But for now, this is what we're doing.
Yeah. Why even risk it,
Yeah, it's really not worth the risk.
And,
it sucks having to wear the mask. I think the fact that not only does it mess with your breathing, which, we can't even complain about it now with everything that's going on in the world. Right. We can't even complain. But, it's a little different than walking around town with the mask versus climbing a 300-foot tower with a mask on because you're dead. I can only think of the athletes that have to wear them. But anyway, so that's why we wear masks.
I think it just pretty much boils down to all of that, right? And I know that a lot of the bigger YouTubers, are we going to mention names in this?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, yeah. Like Shy, for example, wears masks a lot of the time, and but we saw what good that did him. People,
right? Well, he in some of his first few videos, he actually showed his face, so he caught on a little too late. But at the same time, I feel like he's so isolated where he lives, right, that not a lot of people are going to know his face. Yeah. Whereas we're in America, and we've probably seen, just the fact that we've been in the military alone is people are going to know our face. Yeah.
I think it helps out in terms of, other aspects besides just that. For example, the first thing I can think of right off the bat is the presidential tower video we did. It was when I stared right into the trail cam and looked back at you. And then you're like, whoa, what? And my stupid self turned right back around.
It's like you, it's like you thought, the second you thought, you were like, oh shit, we're caught. And I'm like, bro, we have masks on. You're good.
Yeah.
And you're like, I didn't say it out loud, but I was just thinking it to myself. You're like, oh fuck. And I was like, well, I almost said, oh shit. And then I was like, wait, we have masks on. We're fine.
Yeah. That was one of those moments. I don't know what I was thinking in that one specifically because I wasn't so much worried about my face being seen. I don't know. It just was a red flag because that's the first obvious camera we ran into on a pretty hot lockdown place.
I would say it's definitely helped us more than it's hindered us. I know that it sucks having to wear the mask, but at least we know everywhere we go, we have a mask on. So if there is a camera, at least we know, okay, maybe we can't explore this or maybe we don't have that much time to explore it, but hey, at least they don't know who we are.
Yeah, a little peace of mind. Definitely. Goes a long way. And then you were talking about detractors as to, things that just suck while wearing the mask. And I think a huge one of those was in the video we haven't dropped yet, the Plaza Tower, when we were in New Orleans. Going up those stairs, what was it, 50 some odd flights?
Right. Yeah.
50 flights of stairs.
45 with an extra 2 on top. So
right.
We'll call it 50.
Yeah. And that was. I'm glad we started making stops because that was tough. Just from a breathing standpoint and with the mask on.
I didn't even. When I'm editing the footage back, I'm realizing how gassed you are. But as I'm going, and my adrenaline is just so spiked because it reminded me of the Presidential Hotel. And so when I'm in there, I'm like, my adrenaline's flowing, and I'm like, let's get to the top right now because they could be here any second.
Yeah, you were having like flashbacks.
I was having like PTSD with the Presidential Hotel.
Yeah, and for me, it was the complete opposite. I was just like, man, we could spend all day in this place because the story was that they had just raided the place, moved all the homeless out due to an alleged murder, and we were the first ones back in. So for me, it was like just, man, I'd be cool with taking a break every five,
Right, and the fact that it was like on the news recently because of all the falling debris and how they had to put the nets up.
Yeah.
And then we saw the nets weren't really holding anything back.
Nothing. It was just,
so it was just sketchy, yeah.
Yeah, like why was it only... I don't think we were planning on going into this, this video.
Okay, yeah, let's turn back and let's because that video hasn't dropped yet. Yeah. So that will be the next video that drops. I'm super excited for that. I'm super excited for everybody to see it. We were so stoked. Anyway, so The Office, that's the next video. And it's not just any office. I know kind of when you think about an office, it's like, oh, that doesn't seem like it's that cool. But so much happened here that we did not expect to happen. Right. It made it amazing. And
and this, I guess to kind of preface it a little bit. So the last two videos as of this moment right now that we've dropped has been the Office video and Market Street Power Plant.
Right.
And this was all part of our, what would we call it? Excursion, business trip.
Right.
I mean,
and so far everything's been, well, we're a little out of order with those.
Yeah.
But
essentially, I just wanted to kind of preface that all these last two and these next two are all from this New Orleans trip,
right? That
we did.
New Orleans is amazing.
Yeah, that was out of all the times we had gone, that was like what exploring abandoned places should be.
Like
every
the
time.
whole first 6 to 8 months of us exploring was like, we're gonna get caught, we're running away, we're falling through shit, like we're having to watch security and learn routes. And then we get to New Orleans and we're thinking it's going to be the same shit because it's like, I don't know. It's just so much is abandoned. So I figured, that's a good thing, but it could really be a bad thing with security. And we got there and there was no security and it was just like smooth sailing. But the only issue was, there was no security, but there was homeless people everywhere we went. And so it was that danger factor where you're like, okay, there's no security and police aren't really super present in the area, but we got to worry about people on drugs, people that could think we're hostile.
And that's something up to that point that we had never even had to deal with yet. It was all, like you said, security, we're going to get caught, high alert, this and that. And, we'd seen signs of homeless people. I mean, the abandoned candy factory, we found that little office bathroom space that had a mattress with the jacket with some blood on it. Like, what was that?
Right.
A couple of these other places, even a few videos from the Atlanta area when we were on top of Presidential Tower, there's a mattress on top of the roof, and there's these different spots, but we hadn't ran into a homeless individual yet. And so New Orleans was, man, the first day there, the first video there, that was like, boom, welcome to New Orleans.
Honestly wish we would have started the podcast with Market Street Power Plant. So they're a little out of order. The last video of New Orleans is actually the first video we recorded is actually going to be the last video that we publish when it comes to New Orleans. But it's because it's the best. Yeah. We're saving the best for last as far as New Orleans. But anyway, The Office, we expected almost nothing with this. We were driving in. It was our first day in. And we went to this other location, which I'm not going to say the name of just yet. But we were heading there, and as we're driving in, we're like looking left on the freeway, and we see these two pretty big buildings that look completely abandoned, and we hadn't plotted them out. Nothing. We didn't even know on the map because the maps weren't really updated that well.
Couldn't even find them.
On the map. Exactly, couldn't find them on the map.
One of the
buildings wasn't even there.
Yeah,
and it actually ended up being there.
Yeah,
and so we just, I just took a screenshot as we were driving, and we decided to hit it. We met Rick, one of the buddies who lives near the area.
Yeah.
And so we didn't expect anything when we went there. And we got there, and then as soon as we walked up, there's a sign that said there's guard dogs. And we were like, okay, this is bullshit. There's no guard dogs here.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so we were just getting like super weird vibes. with a sign.
Yeah.
So starting out with the sign, we were like, okay, that's bullshit. So we were walking around, couldn't find any way in. And so everything was welded. The windows were bricked behind them. We were like, all this for an office building? I'm like, this is crazy. Like,
yeah. I think even before that, we walked in, we saw the guard dog sign, and then also there was the 3 security cameras all tied up on this weird thing. They were all cut, of course. This place had been just ran through and ransacked, and everything tore out of it. But very weird. You couldn't see anything inside the windows. I don't know if there was actual brick behind it, or if it was just like the one-sided windows that are meant to keep the sun
no,
rays
there was brick. I remember because there was one window that was broken. Remember?
Oh,
we went around the front and we just saw the brick, and then Rick was there and he was like, they bricked this motherfucker?
Yeah, that was weird.
Like, what is so important that's in this building that they need to hide?
Yeah, and that was the thing, right? We never really found out why. This
must
place
have just been in a hot spot. Like, people just must have kept going there, that they were like, you know what? We got to brick this. Or it was the guy that we met on the inside that bricked it. But he's not going to spend that kind of money to do that.
Yeah, no. I don't think you would have the resources.
Well, anyway, so it was just like super locked down. And then we walked around, saw some entrances, and then they were just like super, like, too much to get into. We could have done it, but we were just like, there's got to be a better way.
Yeah.
So we just kept walking around. That's when we found the garage.
Yeah. Well, and before that, we found the way into the garage.
Right.
We just walk in to the garage area. And before this, and I figured it'd be fun to mention this because we don't have any, like, where people donate to us and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, so we don't have any like sort of behind the scenes content yet, but we've been burned so many times by not looking around the entire building and making a way in, and I'm always busting stuff and like pulling stuff like that's already open, granted, but I'm binning it even more so we can get all our stuff in. And that was one of those funny situations where I was trying to bend something to get into the parking garage when we could just walk around and walk right into it.
Yeah, we spent that. We're like, well, at least it's a backup. It's like
a backup to nothing.
A backup to nothing. A backup to an open garage. But yeah, so we went in the garage. It was flooded. Luckily, our boots were fine. Our buddy, anyway. So we get through there. We're exploring. We go to the main hall where the stairs would have been. And then there were like elevators. The doors were closed. And someone had put up like this massive steel like square that was cut out to block the like it wouldn't even have been a door. It would have been like an open walkway straight
like
up
a
the
hallway.
stairs. And someone had put this like freaking 8x8 sheet of like thick ass
some sort of steel, right?
I mean, welded it. And I was like, what? I was like, we're about to find like millions in gold in here, or just dead bodies?
Dead bodies. That's what was in my mind. New Orleans, a weird part of town. Definitely.
And then that's when the weird shit started happening. We go to the other side.
Yes.
The other side of the parking garage, and that's when we see like these little holes in the wall to like the boiler rooms, where it was like the maintenance rooms for the elevators.
Yeah. And
so I decided to hop in on one of them. To check to see if there's an opening. And I get in, and I'm looking around, and everything seems to be like welded shut and everything.
Yeah.
And then as I'm about to pull on the door again, just to make sure, I hear like this loud bang. And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I was like, what was that?
Yeah. Rick and myself, like, we thought you just like
I thought you were messing with me. And even up until I was editing the footage back, I thought you guys messing with me. And then I watched the footage back, and I realized that you could barely hear it on your GoPro. Barely hear it. On mine, it was super loud. And I was like, okay, they weren't messing with me. And then, and then I rushed out of there, and I'm cutting myself on the way out. Luckily, we had some Fireball, so I was able to pour that on my cut. And so we're walking back around, and at this point we're like, all right, we're sketched out. I think we're just gonna get out of here, because you guys kept hearing like girls screaming.
Yeah, so this is what I was gonna interject here real quick, because it didn't pick up on the GoPro, but before we heard the main girl screaming, me and Rick kept hearing these faint like noises. I know we were across the street from a neighborhood, but it just didn't seem to line up. Like it didn't sound like kids playing, like how they were when we were walking.
And sort of the angle of where you heard it.
When
I heard that main girl scream that we all heard,
yeah,
which was we were on the way out and we heard it. It didn't sound like it was coming from across the street. It sounded like it was coming from in the building. Yeah. And you can tell because the sound echoes.
Yeah.
So when it sounds like it's close, you know it's close.
Yeah. Yeah, I think definitely when the big bang happened, the loud bang, and you rushed out of there, we were already getting sort of tense and a little uneasy, me and Rick, because there was these weird sounds, there was a vibe running through this place. I don't know what it was, but I think it comes back to then we met that gentleman when we came out and we're walking around because we heard this clanging sound in one of the, where the supply trucks or whatever would pull up.
Yeah, the loading dock.
Loading dock, right. And we met that guy.
And that was weird too because at this point we had decided, we said, fuck it, we're done. And then we were walking out and we were like, well, we might as well walk around just to see,
right.
So we're walking around and then before I can even see the loading dock, I hear like metal dropping. And I was like, what the And so we go around the corner. I figured it was probably scrappers at this point because I was like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
We saw the guy loading some scrap. We walked up, we're talking to him.
And he was really like distant.
Yeah, he was very like...
disconnected, not interested in talking with
not
us.
interested, but at the same time, not like trying to push us away. Like he was okay with us exploring. It almost seemed like he had something to hide.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to push us away. I feel like maybe he didn't want to push us away because he was worried that we would become suspicious and maybe report him. So I feel like that might have enticed him to want to let us explore.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we're going to kind of segue into that. I don't know if we want to go straight into conspiracy theories that we've come up with as to why we heard girls screaming and these voices.
Yeah, I mean, we might as well. I mean, we've already kind of talked about it. So let me just at least do a little rundown of what we actually did versus what we kind of think of now. Yeah. So we turned our cameras off and we just decided, we'd pull our masks down, we'd turn our cameras off. We didn't know the guy. He seemed distant and a little sketchy, and we didn't want him to think that we were gonna we wanted to show him that we were friends, essentially. Yeah, and so we didn't want to record because I don't want him to think like we're gonna use the footage against him or something like that. Just, I don't know, like you really don't know when you're meeting random people at these places. You don't know what.
And that's why we pull our masks down right away.
Yeah,
and try to
pull
make
our masks immediately. Be like, we're not trying to hide anything. We're here. This is what we're doing. And so he's telling us a little about the place, and he lets us go inside. He tells us about a dog he has locked away, which we'll come back to later. Mm-hmm. And we're like, okay, so we'll just avoid that. So we go in, we're walking around, we're exploring, getting our footage, and everything seems to be, pretty normal.
Fairly normal,
I think the probably the scariest, sketchiest, whatever, was when we got to the third floor. And we saw the glass bedroom, which was almost like sort of, because this was a phone company building, so it almost would have been like the CEO's suite or the presidential suite or something.
Like a VIP meeting room. It was a small glass room.
It was small, and then we get in there and it was just crazy. It was like, there's a bed there, and then there was a wood burning stove.
That somebody
was
made.
Fabricated, on site. Like it wasn't bought. Like it was like this dude used the scrap from the building, to create a wood burning stove. It was actually insane.
Yeah,
like the fact that he was able to.
I don't think he did it alone. That galvanized pipe. I mean, the diameter of that alone. Was like
he could have, but I mean, he did have a buddy. Inches. He did have a buddy helping him with scrap.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
But. No, we saw that, and then as we're kind of walking away, there's like a few tables nearby, and there's just so many drugs. I mean,
party time.
Party
time.
It was like to the point where we were like, we're constantly looking down on the ground to make sure we're not going to step on needles.
Yeah, so paranoid about that.
There was there was a knife on the table with what looked like heroin on it, and then a plastic cup with more heroin inside, pills. Just so many needles.
Yeah.
Like we found a bottle with like 15 needles in it that we don't know if they were used or not, but we weren't trying to find out.
No. And it was weird because, you know, we'd seen stray needles at some of the other places in New Orleans, but it was nothing like this, where there's straight heroin on the knife. There's just a bottle of pills just laid out, some of like crushed substances, maybe some of the pills, I'm not sure. But this was like on another level to anything that we had seen in New Orleans. Yeah, it was
nothing this bad. I mean, we'd see stray needles exploring places, and it's like, okay, you know, some kids or maybe a homeless guy was, you know, in
just
here and
got us high, whatever.
But this was his stash. Like, it was like the mother load of stashes. Yeah, it was just crazy. Yeah. Unless there was multiple people, but it just seemed like it was that one guy. Maybe,
it was
maybe
weird.
Another person.
Yeah, it was weird. It was like he had it all to himself, which is a really weird concept considering, you know, the Navy base and, you know, Market Street, because usually when there's usually more than one person at these places trying to take the most advantage.
Yeah, it was definitely weird. I mean, Market Street, we saw like at least 4 people, I think. At the very end, we saw 4 people. And with the Navy base, we saw, which you guys won't have seen yet, that'll be the last video of New Orleans. Yeah. Plaza Tower is the only place we didn't see anybody, which is kind of weird considering in New Orleans, 3 out of the 4 places we went to, we saw multiple people. Yeah. And even when we were at the office, we did see 2 people. It was just the other guy was the scrapper, which brings me back because we saw that guy in the very beginning. He didn't have a shirt on, and he had like gym shorts on. And then right when we got done with the like the presidential suite, as you would call it, at the office with the drugs and everything, we saw him 1 floor down. He was setting up his like paint area to start painting,
like a painting station or something.
Right.
Yeah.
But he had a shirt on and he had pants on, so it was either he got dressed or it was the other person in the vehicle. And I made the joke, you know, I was sort of like reckless and fearless when we were talking, and I was just like, maybe they're twins. But I mean, like, we don't know for sure because we didn't actually like see the guy in the vehicle. So
right,
I doubt that they were twins. It was probably like that dude was there to help him, and he was probably going to get a percentage of the pay. Yeah, and that was probably it. But the guy probably put clothes on. But it was a little weird to us because we'd only ever seen 1 person the whole time. So if it was a second person, we only ever saw 1 person at a time.
Yeah, yeah. And what was weird about it is when he came back, he had completely, you know, different set of clothes on. He looked a little different, like he had gone and freshened up or something in a room somewhere that we didn't see. Right. I mean, there was this whole side of the building that we didn't realize at that time when we were leaving.
I mean, he did have the tent. He could have gone in there to change and maybe dry himself off because he was sweating a lot. Right. But no. So when we saw him, that's essentially right when we were leaving. I think maybe we would have gone to the roof, but that was only like, 15 minutes, and we were getting drone footage, and we were just kind of bullshitting. Yeah. But when we came down, that was essentially when we were leaving, and we saw him painting, and he seemed really distant again. Yeah. So maybe it was the same. It probably was the same guy because he was very distant. I asked him, I was like, "What you painting?" He's like, "Oh, just nothingness."
Nothingness. Yeah.
Nothingness. It was just weird. It was like, yeah, he just didn't want to say anything to us.
Yeah.
It seemed like.
But out of the few things he did say, we didn't get it on camera. This is when we were off camera. When we first ran into him, was, "Where's the dog?" You're like, "Oh, you have a dog," and you also said, "Well, I think you said something along the lines, well, will we run into him?" And he was like, "Don't worry, he's locked up in a room that you won't be able to get into."
Right, that was weird. And no, I definitely, like, when he said that, I was like, what does that mean? Yeah. We won't be able to get into it.
Right, and then I was just thinking...
Does that mean, like, there's a secret entrance, or there's a lock on it and we won't be able to get into it?
Yeah, like...
Because what if we have bolt cutters?
Right.
Which we don't carry, but I'm just saying, like, how does he know?
Yeah.
And so he must have known for sure, no matter what, we were not getting into it. So essentially we didn't realize kind of how sketchy that whole situation was. We knew it was sketchy because of the drugs and because it was a homeless guy and he was scrapping, and he was very distant. But we've been sort of fearless when we've been exploring, and it's been getting better because after almost being caught multiple times, it's kind of made us realize that we're not invincible.
Yeah.
And if we don't, if we keep fucking around, one of these days we're going to get caught. So we've been very, very cautious after, it was really Presidential Hotel. After that,
Right.
we've been really cautious. But
Absolutely.
we weren't really thinking about it. I think it was just because it was me and you and Rick. And we're like, all right, we outnumber this guy. We're fine. He's not going to mess with us.
Yeah.
But no, I started really going and thinking about it when I was editing the footage. And I was like, wait, why did we not think about this? Maybe we were just so excited to get in because we had spent so much time trying to.
And knowing there was no other way in.
Yeah. And this was the only way. And then we got in.
We were just hyped to get in and get the footage.
Yeah, as we're leaving, we realized that the door is, he MacGyvered a lock on the inside.
Right.
That was not like the owners of the building or whoever owned the building had done. It was definitely something that he had manipulated and made it to where no one else could come in.
Yeah, he fabricated his own like built-in deadbolt
Yeah.
on this door with like this reinforced like rebar looking.
Yeah, it was like this
slide. But that was my whole point as to like earlier. It was weird to see only one or two people there. The fact that it was so locked down. You know what I mean?
Right.
And he was so confident about this room, which made me think about Hollywood, which we haven't gotten to that video yet, but and how he had the fire door that was like super heavy. And he had a cinch, like a winch or whatever, how you would secure, stuff to the back of a truck. And so, yeah, I'll let you kind of piggyback with that, our ideas.
Right, yeah. So we just kept essentially ignoring these red flags.
Right.
Because we were just so hyped to be able to get into this place and the stuff that we saw and the staircase, everything just looked super cool and we were just ready to go.
Yeah.
But then, as I'm editing the footage, I'm realizing like, okay, these girls' screams, they're not coming from the neighborhood. They're coming from in the building. And he said there was a dog, which we did hear the dog.
Right.
But we weren't too focused on that because we were like, oh, it's just a dog. But then our thought as we're like editing the footage back was like, what if it's not just a dog that's in the building? Maybe that's why he was acting so sketchy, because he had something to hide.
Yeah.
Maybe there was a girl.
Yeah, I mean, he knew there was a room that he had secured in such a way that he wasn't worried about us getting into. And it was just weird to me that when we went in, we didn't see him until we had gone through the whole one side, came back down, saw him again.
He was scrapping. We didn't see him at all.
Right. And he was changed clothes. He had put on a change of clothes. And so he must have either had some clothes in the tent or even went to that room, got some clothes, secured it, perhaps, where this dog and possibly someone else could have been.
Yeah, part of me thinks like potentially when we were down low, he was scrapping, but maybe the girl heard us and that's why she decided to say stuff or say something. And when he heard it, maybe he went back inside or stopped scrapping. Because if you're scrapping, you're going to be probably making loud noises the whole time.
Yeah.
After that bang, and we said something, because that was pretty loud.
Yeah.
Maybe he heard me, or maybe he heard her, and he decided to walk back in and say something, maybe got her quiet. I mean, or whatever the case.
There was drugs all through this place. He could have given her something, stuck her with something, put her to sleep while he knew we were going to be in. He was like, oh, pictures? You guys are doing pictures? Yeah, that's cool. Just close the door behind you. So. Yeah,
that was.
There was a lot there that we didn't digest until probably a little too late.
And we didn't even see the whole second floor.
Yeah.
I feel like him saying there's a dog, and I remember us asking questions like, is the dog going to hurt us? And he was like, don't worry about it. The dog's in a room, and there's no way the dog's going to be able to get out. And I remember thinking initially, that was kind of scary. Like, he didn't say, no, the dog's not going to hurt us. He just said, you're not going to be able to get to the dog.
Yeah.
So that almost scared me. And then we we stayed away. But we could have gone in, and when we first started exploring, he may have walked back in and been watching us. We have no idea.
Yeah.
And he could have been watching us and realized we were on the third floor because we weren't paying attention, and been like, okay, now's my chance. I'm going to go back in and quiet her or whatever the case. But it was just crazy because, like, we heard these sounds, and you're in the moment and you're scared and you're thinking, like, the worst. But then as we're watching the footage back, we're like, nope, the sounds were coming from inside. Yeah. Which, leads me to believe that there was a girl in there. And then I get really scared because I'm like, well, what would have happened if we did explore the second floor? We found the dog and maybe we heard a sound from the girl, or we saw something. Yeah. Like, we didn't have any weapons on us.
No, that's a scary thought, considering we were completely underprepared for an encounter, along those lines. If he potentially had a gun.
We had no idea. I mean, he didn't give us a tour. He didn't threaten us. He didn't say it again.
Yeah, it was weird. Compared to the other homeless encounters.
Right, compared to other people, being like, their first thing is like they want you to know that they're not messing around. And this guy was just so distant. Yeah. So it almost seemed like he was just confident that no matter what happened, he was going to be ready.
Yeah. And it puts my mind in a weird place because I go down two roads of thought, right? I think what you thought, what if we had realized this at the time? There's the scary side to it of we were completely underprepared. We don't know how we would have reacted, how he would have reacted.
Would he have sensed that we knew?
Right.
Like, who knows? Like, maybe in our encounters with them, we would have been like really skittish, and he maybe would have known. Maybe he would have like started asking us questions like, "Oh, did you explore the second floor, or did you see this?"
Yeah, and that's where the other thought of mine goes to is, besides the scary unpreparedness, not knowing what comes next, also comes this idea of, well, we could have potentially helped someone.
Right. That's what really kind of makes me like look back and be like, we kind of fucked up. Like, I think we potentially could have, saved someone's life. We have no idea kind of what was going on in there. If he had kidnapped this girl, if he was raping this girl, I'd be like, look, as much as like it's tough to talk about this kind of stuff, to really even think about this kind of stuff, like, I feel like we need to talk about this, because going forward in the future, if something like this happens again, we definitely need to think more about our surroundings than just be excited to explore. But definitely, like, it's tough because you don't want to. That's the thing. Like I have a gun legally, and so does Oscar. But we don't bring our guns with us because obviously, like, if we get caught, it becomes a criminal trespass. We're going to go to jail, potentially prison. Like, it's just not worth it, lose our rights to own guns.
Yeah, there's this risk reward we kind of go through. This place didn't seem like, but you never know. Isn't that the whole thing?
You never know. And then by the time we were there, it was already too late. He was like, all right, come in. If we could just run back out into the truck and grab a gun, he would have locked it up and we'd have been done. Yeah. And so, if we had found something and we didn't have any way to protect ourselves, there's no telling that this guy would have. I mean, because think about it. This guy has a whole building. Like, I mean, we're talking, I don't know, how many square feet? Oh. Like 20,000?
Yeah, I was going to say
40,000 square feet? Yeah. Of just, like, it's his space. There's no other way in except for that one door that he has completely sealed, locked shut. There's no way you're getting in. There's no way. Unless you bring a
metal cutting tool, like a saw.
Unless you get like the fire station to come down and try to break in. Yeah. But anyway, like, it's just kind of crazy when you think about it, because you don't really realize that you're going to be in these situations. You don't know you're going to be in these situations, and you kind of think them through before you're in them sometimes, and you're like, well, this could happen. But when you're in it, like, especially when you're filming, your mind is kind of in like two places. You're thinking about safety, but you're also thinking about filming.
Yeah, and for us, this is enjoyable. This is something that we enjoy doing. We go out to have a good time, while we're doing this and get some awesome footage to share. And so you can't really. We should have been more aware, but it's like, how do we fault ourselves? You're never going to be prepared for a situation like this when it comes.
I mean, because we could have potentially. I mean, here's the thing. Like, we don't know any of this for sure.
Right.
This is all speculation. But knowing that it could have been is, I guess, the most, like, I guess the scariest part of this Explorer, especially looking back, was if something had been there, we potentially could have been there to save a young girl's life.
Or got killed ourselves.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, when you think about situations like this, like our buddy Explore with Rick, he explored this. One of his big videos that actually popped off, he was exploring this abandoned like mansion or house, and he heard a baby crying. And if you watch the video, and I know Rick personally, and he doesn't. None of his stuff is staged. Yeah. It's all real.
Yeah.
So if he heard baby crying, you heard baby crying. Like, and he heard that, and there's just so many people in the comments saying, like, oh, I would have gone in there and done this, and I would have gone there and done that. And I'm like, but do you have any idea what it's like to be in this situation when your adrenaline starts pumping and all you can think about is, I'm going to die?
Yeah.
You're literally, in your mind, you're like, I'm dead.
Well, it's that natural response. It's, the fight or flight.
It's the fight or flight. Like,
but it's real life. This isn't some.
It's not a movie. It's not a video game. It's not. And most people haven't experienced that. I think we're one of the few, as far as, like, you look at the whole world in itself. I think we're maybe, in the top 1% where we, deal with this a lot more. Now, especially being in the military, we're definitely in the 1%. But no, there's no way to prepare yourself for it.
You can try.
But you can try. And when you're in it, all you know of is really, I feel like the first thought is self-preservation. How can I make sure that I'm not going to die?
Yeah.
And if you can't see a way, like, imagine we're at this abandoned mansion that Rick's at, okay? And we hear a baby crying, okay? Our initial reaction is going to be, what is this? So, I mean, I guess it varies, because curiosity is probably going to be the first thing.
Right.
So it's not going to be like, am I going to die? But curiosity is going to be the first thing. So, for us, it's going to be like, what was that?
Yeah. What was that? I'll probably look at you.
So I think Rick's response was he was quiet. He didn't want to make a noise. But here's the thing. He's by himself. Exactly. Yeah. And people don't realize this, okay? When Oscar and I are together, we feel like almost untouchable because we have each other's back. When you're by yourself, you have nobody else. If you call out and somebody comes out with a gun, a weapon, anything, and especially, I talked to Rick about this too. He said that he only had like one way in, and he had to crawl through like this window.
Yeah.
And so imagine you're in a situation where it's going to take you like 30 seconds to get out of this building or this house. And if you call out and this guy comes running at you, you are not going to have time to get out. And so, like, I think you really got to think about situations like that, because you really don't know the situation. Like, if we were in this office building and we found something and this guy knew and he had a gun, we have 2 people or 3 people, but dude's got a gun.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to shoot all of us before we can do anything. Or he's going to shoot one of us and we're going to get fucking scared as shit and run.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do? So, like, it's really, like, context is everything. Like,
Well, just imagine how different Presidential Hotel would have been if you were by yourself or if I was by myself. We probably would have...
We would have bailed. We would have probably not even done it.
Probably froze up. Like, let's say we did do it.
Yeah, let's say, okay.
I'm talking about, like, when we heard footsteps coming up the stairs for us. It was different because there was 2 of us. If it was either me by myself or you by yourself, I'm not going to lie. I might have froze up there and just got caught. I might have just gotten caught.
I remember your initial reaction was, let's go back to the roof and hide. And that might have worked. But The difficult thing is he knew we were there. He
Right.
wouldn't have stopped looking until he found us.
Right.
Or we would have got so scared that we would have just said, hey, we're here. And we'd have been fucked.
Right. Yeah.
So, like, you don't know the situation until you're in it. And so, like, all these people that are saying, commenting, you know, obviously not in our videos because we're kind of small and people haven't really, like, you know, noticed this yet.
Right.
But essentially, you know, or we're probably going to have a situation similar to this, you know, one of these days. And you really got to think about, like, you know, the headspace that, you know, people are in when it's happening to them.
Yeah.
If I was by myself in this office building and I found something, like, I'm not going to say anything.
Right.
I'm going to act like I didn't see it and I'm just going to leave.
Yeah.
And then after I leave, I'm going to call the police and I'm going to say something. Because you try to be a hero in a situation, it's not like the movies, like Oscar's saying. It's not like the movies. It's not like you're going to see something and you're going to break them out and the person there that's literally guarding them isn't going to notice and isn't not going to shoot you or harm you.
Yeah.
And you only get one life. So
Yeah,
you make
definitely
a wrong move and you die, like, that's it.
Yeah,
It's over.
Definitely no reset button. But, and like you said, it's all on context, right? And there's a vibe, there's a feel to every single place we go
It's
to.
like an energy, like it's almost like a spiritual energy.
Yeah, like in the parking garage, it was heavy. And I guess this brought me over, it just reminded me, you know, I mentioned if you were solo, if I were solo on this presidential hotel. Now, I went down the stairs first, and I was completely ready. I don't know why I felt this way. I didn't think about the guy having a gun or a knife or this or that. It was flight, right? So in my mind, if I had found somebody, like,
You were just gonna run.
I was gonna rush him. I was gonna probably try to rush him, you know, past him, hit him, you know, push him.
And my logical brain was like, if we see this guy, we're trespassing. This dude is probably armed, especially because he was police.
Yeah.
Like, this dude's probably armed, and he's probably not saying anything because he doesn't know 100% that we're there. Maybe
Yeah.
he's like 90% sure.
Right.
And he also doesn't want to alarm us because that may actually make it worse. He's hoping that he can walk up on us without us suspecting.
Yeah.
But him not knowing, he's going to be quiet.
Yeah.
Because
Well, he
it's like-
doesn't know if we have a gun.
Right. And again, it's not like the movies. It's not like the cops are going to be like, bust in, like, you know, Atlanta PD,
Yeah.
put down your weapons. You know, it's going to be, he's going to try to hide in the shadows.
Yeah. Catch us with our pants down.
Because, police aren't like superhumans. Like, they're people. Imagine if you were a cop. Like, what would you do in this situation? Would you, and yes, you have training, but what would you do in this situation if you thought you were going to die? Because essentially that's what you have to go into this situation thinking.
Yeah.
And
So yeah. So like I saw the mansion video as well, and my thought was just the same. Like, if it was me and you, we might have been more ready to call out. I feel like we would have. We went,
right,
hello,
but in a
is someone
situation
there?
like that, you know, maybe we would have been carrying. You know,
Yeah, oh yeah.
you know, maybe because it's such a small location, depending on where it's at. Even though, yes, it's illegal, we would have been like, you know what? If we see somebody, like, let's just have a gun on us just in case.
Yeah.
So maybe we would have been carrying.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If it's illegal, I mean, I'd rather deal with that than
That's
just
the thing. Is
die.
it's risk versus reward. It's like, if we're gonna explore this place and we don't expect anything to happen, but we know it's far enough out of there's not gonna be cops there.
Yeah.
We know for a fact because we've surveyed the area and we made sure. You know, we'll bring our gun just in case, because at the end of the day, yeah, would we go to jail or prison? Probably, but we'd be alive.
Yeah. Right,
And I think
right.
being alive is a little bit more important than, you know, getting, you know, potentially stabbed to death or shot to death. Like,
Who knows? Who knows? I mean, if our speculation were, you know, in some way to have a hint of truth to it, right?
Look, and I think what's more important to talk about isn't that, you know, he should have done this, he should have done that. It's to talk to him about it and be like, and sort of educate him and be like, you know, maybe next time you should have gone with somebody else. Maybe next time you should have a bulletproof vest on if you're sketched out or something.
Yeah.
That way you're better prepared for the situation. And, you know, maybe you should have called the police. Maybe you should have said something.
Yeah, but that sounds like a healthy online community. I mean, let's be realistic. You know,
Right.
YouTube, the comment section is just, people are just
Yeah.
assholes to be assholes, you know?
True.
So
I mean, you can do
we're
you can do no right,
Right.
There is no right you can do.
We're approaching it from, we do this, Rick does
Right.
this, let's let him know what we...
Had he gone up there, people would have complained for him going up there.
Right.
You know?
Oh, yeah. There's no way.
Why would you do that? Or do you just want to die? Or like...
Yeah. Yeah. So, to me, I don't know. That whole experience, it really was eye-opening. You know, I don't know how we're going to prepare for the future in trying to keep our minds, you know.
I think after this trip, because I just took a trip without Oscar, he had to work, you know, because we have jobs to pay the bills, because this doesn't pay the bills. Unfortunately, yeah. No, but I was on a trip. We just hit like, you know, 10 locations or whatever the case. And so it was a big learning experience for me, because normally I have Oscar with me, you know, someone to watch my back. But when I'm with these other people, yeah, I have other people with me, but no one's watching my back. They're watching their own back. And it's a big difference. And so it really opened my eyes to like, I need to be way more aware of knowing exactly what's going on at all times. And so I definitely think it's helped me a lot. Yeah. And I think when we go explore in the future, I'll be like much more on it. Like, yeah, let's make sure this. If this happens, we'll do this. And so you just got to run over scenarios. But anyway,
you know, and another reason that I feel like we didn't get to look on the other side and this and that was also, you know, Rick was on a time crunch. We were on our way out.
True.
You know, we were excited to get in, and I think that also, you know, was another contributing factor as to why we didn't think too far into it like we did after the fact.
Right.
So,
yeah. I think if we were just in our right mind and thinking more and not just like super excited and just trying to, because our initial goal was like, we just need to hit this place, film, have fun. And we didn't think there was going to be anything but fun there. And we've had scary moments, and we were like, okay, well, it was the guy scrapping. So we were just not really worried about it in the moment. But no, definitely we've learned definitely to pay more attention to your gut. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And not
signs.
And signs. Even if like we have a gut feeling like something's bad, and then we see a guy and we're like, oh, we'll just chalk it up to that guy doing stuff. Yeah. Like, no, let's be like, what was he doing? You know, maybe we'll talk about it by ourselves. But
and I think that'd be another good podcast topic to talk about, was like that big learning curve that we experienced with that presidential hotel video, and how it completely changed our outlook and the way we approach these
that was pretty much our revelation, because before that we had no experiences that really made us think that like we could be caught, we could get hurt, like anything. But no, definitely. Let us know if you like stuff like this, if you like us talking about our explorers. I know we love it. And we're definitely going to be, you know, putting out more. We have a lot of cool content coming up. The next one is Plaza Tower. The one after that may be a part 1, part 2, and that's going to be a Navy base. Some crazy stuff is going to happen there.
Oh, yeah.
So much cool stuff. It's just, I'm super excited. And then after that, just countless content coming up that's going to be like super cool. But anyway, you know, this is brand new for us. And as you can probably tell, our equipment's a little lackluster, but
gotta start somewhere, right? I mean,
gotta start somewhere. We'll look back one day and be like, oh, remember that one time we were in the garage and we you know, unfortunately I didn't get the third backdrop, so now you can see the garage
door.
Whatever, you know, everybody's got to start somewhere, so it'll definitely get better in the future. But
so definitely stay with our stuff, you know, like, share, comment whenever you can.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it.
That's one thing we don't really ask for, because I just want people to enjoy the content. But absolutely subscribe, because, you know, we both love doing this, putting out this content, sharing with the world, you know, our explorers and our journeys. And we want to do this full time, because I feel like there's so much to see. There's so much we can show to the world.
Right.
And I feel like, I don't know. I just really love what we're doing.
Yeah, and we have a lot of good ideas. I mean, we want to do a lot of behind the scenes stuff. We want to do like subscriber special stuff, you know, for people who like it and are willing to help us. And
it really starts with, you know, it starts with building our subscribers up, because we want to do collabs with some of the big guys. later, like we would love to do collabs with the proper people. Shia one day, like that's a big goal. You know, we have a bunch of stuff coming up in the future. We want to go to Chernobyl. We want to go to, you know, Hungary, Turkey, Greece. Like there's so many cool places. We're not just stopping with, you're good. We're not just stopping with, you know, we're not just stopping with America. We're going everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's
official condition orange worldwide. That's what we want.
Yeah, worldwide. Like we're everywhere. We're not stopping here. We have so many big plans, and we're excited to share with the world, and we want y'all to be we want y'all to be a part of it. Yeah. And we're really looking forward to it. Thank you for joining us. Have a good morning, afternoon, and night. This has been Chuck and Oscar with the official Condition Orange podcast, and we'll talk to you later.
Yeah. Till next time.
Oscar 6.
It's starting to collapse.
Lord, protect us.
Looks like blood.
Now we know we're not alone.
Sounds like somebody's screaming.
Ringing the bell.
Some crazy ass.
Here we go, Zaddy. Woo!
Okay, no. That's police right there. Let's get the fuck out of here.